Former Trump aide Steve Bannon was talking about the election on his podcast as if Donald Trump has already won the election, which of course is not the case. There are many states that haven't finished tabulating all the ballots. And based on the votes that are coming in, it does look like Biden has a very good shot at winning. Now, the heart of this story isn't even about the election. It's about what Steve Bannon would like Donald Trump to do in his second term. And what he's advocating for is clearly violence. It is inciting violence. And in the clip that you're about to watch, he targets Christopher Wray, who is the head of the FBI, and Anthony Fauci, who has tried to do the right thing in keeping people safe in the middle of this pandemic. Let's watch. So Steve Bannon sitting there with his bloated face talking about revolutions and how it's not a garden party. Let me just say, we all know why right-wingers hate Anthony Fauci so much. In reality, they should be angry at the fact that Donald Trump responded so poorly to the pandemic that more than 225,000 Americans are dead as a result. We're recording record numbers of Americans contracting the virus. I mean, it has been a complete and utter disaster in this country. When it comes to Christopher Wray and the FBI have actually done a decent job in foiling terrorist plots by right-wing gang members in this country. So I'm sure the right-wingers like Steve Bannon aren't too happy about that. But the real issue is that the FBI refused to go along with Donald Trump's accusations about criminality associated with the Bidens. He also refused to regurgitate this talking point about how there's election meddling by foreign countries with the intention of helping Joe Biden win the election. And so Christopher Wray is now one of the latest targets for the Trump administration and Trump cronies.
So putting hands on a stick, that's beheadings. First of all, there you go. That's the American Taliban right there, calling for beheadings. And it's not remotely a hyperbole. You saw for yourself right there. And then talking about hanging their opponents. So I assume that Bannon will be arrested within the hour for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can't threaten to behead the FBI director and a random doctor that works to try to help diseases or for any reason, even if he was a private citizen, but that's a guy inside the government. That's wildly illegal. So him and his co-hosts should obviously be arrested. They didn't say, oh, it's in a political context. It is no. They just said, that's it. Let's go get him. And they said, look, you saw it there. He said the revolution was not a garden party. It was physical, etc. So it's not like it's a metaphor. He's saying actively that it is not a metaphor, that it was not a garden party. We need to actually go and do these things. And so the second reason he should be arrested within the hour is he's on parole. He was arrested for fraud. He was ripping off his own viewers and pocketing some of the money according to the charges. And now he's still out on the streets and now threatening to behead people. Okay, guys, look, again, this is a thing that no one can dispute. If there was a radical Muslim inside the country doing a media show, going around saying, hey, maybe we should, not maybe, we should behead the head of the FBI. Does anybody think he wouldn't be arrested within the hour? Does anybody think he shouldn't be arrested within the hour? Of course he should be arrested. Imagine if an Antifa guy said, hey, we're gonna behead Scott Atlas, who is another doctor we don't agree with in the administration. Or Don Trump Jr. I mean, these are insane, that's insane talk. Of course they'd be arrested. Why aren't right-wingers who are on air calling for people to do extreme violence? Well, and by the way, there's a hanging. If you're doing hangings in a war, I guess that's called, that's got a certain name. If hangings in America had another name, it's called lynchings. So this is, I can't, what is happening to this country?
No, it's even, so.
Anna, sorry, one more irony I gotta point out. Wait, why do you need a revolution? You're in charge now, and I thought you said you were gonna win. So if you're gonna win, why do you need an armed revolution? Oh, so you're going to lose. So don't pretend otherwise.
No, let me just say, I'm gonna, In 2016, when it became very clear that Donald Trump was gonna win, we were upset here. And we were upset for good reason. Not because our ideology didn't win, but because Donald Trump is as incompetent as we expected, but far more dangerous than we even expected on that night. And so it meant that this country was gonna deal with an incredibly tumultuous first term with Trump. And I think that it all played out the way that we expected, and actually far worse than we expected. I give you that because the right wing kept talking about how we had an election night meltdown. Now compare our so-called election night meltdown to this. You have Steve Bannon talking about putting people's heads on a pike. You also have Steve Bannon who said punk Twitter boss Jack Dorsey should be arrested for taking down the president. Now understand that the only thing that Twitter has done, well, aside from the New York Post decision that they made, which I did not agree with, but in the case of Donald Trump specifically, the only thing that they've done is fact check him when he's intentionally spreading disinformation about the election. And Steve Bannon, who's on the right, who purportedly believes in deregulation of companies, right? Don't get the government involved in regulating companies at all. Now all of a sudden says Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, should be arrested.
Yeah, so let's compare meltdowns. When they're losing, they say let's start beheadings and hangings. Yeah, that sounds like a meltdown. That sounds like an actual meltdown.
Let's completely dismantle our democratic process and stop counting votes.
Yeah, let's end democracy, commit a revolution against America, and start beheading our political opponents. Okay, on election night in 2016, what did we do? Did we say it doesn't count? Trump's not president? No, we immediately acknowledged that Trump was president. Did we say don't count the votes? Nope, nobody ever said any of that. Did we say, okay, we don't believe in democracy anymore? Nope, nope. But we did get angry at the Democratic Party for blowing it against Donald Trump. And out of that, what I told you that night and what rose out of it became the Justice Democrats. And so we said we are going to do a political solution with our anger and frustration because we're Americans, and that's how this system works. And we did a political solution to try to take over the Democratic Party. Now there are 10 Justice Democrats inside Congress 4 short years later. That's how you do things in America. It's okay to get angry and frustrated, but you don't grab your gun, you don't grab your machete, you don't grab your rope. You go get organized, you do activism, and you create things that are a force of nature for a political revolution, not for a physical, violent revolution where you just decapitate your enemies. If that's not the difference between the right wing and the left wing, I don't know what is. We are constructive and we have done it within the American system. As you just heard it from them, they hate America. And if things don't go their way, they want a physical, violent revolution against America, not against either one of the parties or the establishment or even the current system. They want a revolution against America where we don't do democracy, we do violent overthrows and beheading of political opponents. So that's the right wing in this country. If every right winger does not denounce Steve Bannon immediately, according to right wing logic, they all agree with Steve Bannon. So, and by the way, Trump has said, has called for violence dozens of times at his rallies. We can go on, and 93% of Republicans voted for him. So you have your answer on who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, and who the real patriots are in this country who believe in America, and who the actual political traitors are. And even though they are ideological traitors to this country, we would never wish that there would be something physical done to them. Never, because we love America and know that you're supposed to handle things in a political way and not in that physical way.
They accuse us of hating America when we critique the government and expect it to do better. They actually hate America because they hate what it's supposed to stand for. It's supposed to stand for democracy. It's supposed to stand for, actual freedom of speech, right? They're angry that Christopher Wray doesn't just regurgitate what they want Christopher Wray to regurgitate. And Christopher Wray is not some leftist, okay? It's the most ridiculous thing imaginable. And in regard to Twitter, they just see Twitter as their personal propaganda tool. And if Jack Dorsey has policies that prevent the spread of disinformation related to the election, well then he needs to be imprisoned. He needs to be in prison because he's not doing what the government wants it to do?
And these are from the advocates for free speech. He said things I don't like. Imprison him, imprison him. Oh, I want to be able to say racist things, and people don't like it when I say racist things. I'm still allowed to say it, but they don't like it. Oh, golly gee, I love free speech. No, you don't. You've never liked this country. So go live in a dictatorship somewhere else. Maybe Peter Thiel can buy you an island, the libertarian island you guys are all dreaming about and that he fantasized about. And you guys could go all live there and decapitate each other. I don't want you to do that either, okay? But leave us alone. We love this country and believe in it.